All right, so we're going to move into Chapter 3, Lesson 3 today. So we're going to review how to multiply decimals by whole numbers. Okay, so you can model these, and that is totally fine. If you want to write them all out, that is fine. This will still get you the correct answer, but it's a lot of extra work. Now, if you were to just multiply it out, that's 6 and 25 hundredths times 5, what you would do is you would take that 6 and 25 hundredths, put it on top, times 5. Okay, with multiplication, you do not have to worry about lining up the decimals. Okay, we're not doing that at all. The decimals don't come into play until the very end when you get your answer. So you technically don't even have to put it into the multiplication problem itself. I like to because it reminds me to put it into my answer at the end, and I'll show you how that works. So 5 times 5 would be 25. 5 times 10 is 10, or 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. And then 5 times 6 is 30, plus 1 is 31. Now, this is where the decimal comes into play. So I have to write my decimal after how many numbers are after it. So if I look, there is 2 numbers after the decimal point. So that means I have to move my decimal in my answer 2 times. So 1, 2. So your answer would be 31 and 25 hundredths. Okay, so whatever there is, so like from the get-go, before you even write this out and you look at the problem, okay, I know that there are 2 right here. There's none right there, so I don't have to do that. So in the beginning, I know that I have to move it 2 times, the decimal point 2 times at the end. So like I did here, 1, 2. All right, we can look at another one like this. So 5 times 36 hundredths. So I'm going to put the bigger one, the more digits on top. It makes life a lot easier if you just go ahead and put this one. This one has 2 digits, whereas 5 only has 1. 1, 2, 1. So I put that one on top. Once again, it has nothing to do with the decimal. The decimal does not play a factor until the very end when you get your answer. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply this out. 6 times 5 would be 30. Okay, 5 times 3 would be 15, plus 3 would be 18. Now, I go back up here and I look at my numbers that have a decimal in it. Well, this is the only one that has a decimal. Okay, so if I look, I have 2 digits after the decimal point. So that means I have to go down here in my answer and move the decimal point 2 times to the left. 1, 2. So my answer is 1 and 8/10. Or you can put the 0. You can put the 0, you don't have to put the 0. Totally up to you. It will still be the correct answer if you don't put the 0 because it's still 1 and 8/10, 1.8. No matter what, it's still going to remain the same answer. Okay, so when you're multiplying with decimals, you do not line up decimals at all, especially when you're multiplying by a whole number. Okay, what you need to do, like this one, when this one has more digits than the other number, that one goes on top and makes it a lot easier. So what you're going to do, so then I want to look at example number 3, because we have 47 10,000ths times 3. Okay, so before I even start lining this up or anything else in a multiplication problem, I know that right here, there's 4 numbers after the decimal point. That means in my answer, I have to move it 4 times to the left, my decimal point. Over here, we have 0. So altogether, I have 4. Now, when I go to write this out like I did in the other ones, I'm going to put this one on top because it has more digits. It's not a bigger number, it has more digits. It means it's longer, times 3. Okay, so it makes things a lot easier if you just, from the beginning, put the longer number on top. Now I can multiply this out. So 7 times 3 would be 21. 3 times 4 would be 12, plus 2 would be 14. 3 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. And then 3 times 0 is 0. Now I know from the beginning that I had to move my decimal 4 times. So I go down to my answer and move it 4 times. 1, 2, 4. So my answer is 141 10,000ths, 0.0141. And like I said, you can put a 0 there. You do not have to. It will not be considered wrong, or it won't be considered correct. You don't have to put that. It's the proper way of doing it, but you don't have to actually put it there to be correct. So what I want you guys to do now is I want you to pause the video and I want you to go through 1 through 8 down at the bottom. So do 1 through 8 down at the bottom. All right, now that you're back, let's go through these. I'm going to do them on another piece of paper. So we have 8 3/100 times 3. So right here from the beginning, I know that I have 2 digits after a decimal point, so I know I have to move it 2 times at the end. So 8 3/100 times 3. Well, 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 0 is 0, and 3 times 8 is 24. So I know I got to move my decimal point 2 times, so 1, 2. So the answer is 24 9/100. 24 9/100. Okay, number 2, 6 times 12.6, 12 6/10. Okay, so if I look at these two, I know that I only have one number after my decimal point, so I only have to move it once at the end. So since this one is longer, I'm putting that on top and then putting the 6 down there. I didn't line any decimals up because I don't have to with multiplication. So 6 times 6 would be 36. 6 times 2 is 12 plus 3 is 15. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 1 is 7. Now I know I got to move my decimal 1 time, so 75 6/10. 75.6. Okay, and then number 3, we have 2 times 12 thousandths. So if I look, I have 3 there, none there. So at the end, I got to move it 3 times. So this one's longer, so I'm putting that one on top. So then 2 times 2 would be 4. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 0 is 0. So I know I got to move it 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. And that would be 24 thousandths. 0.024. Fix that so that's up there. Okay, so the next one is 8 10,000ths times 9. So 8 10,000ths times 9. So here I have to move it 4 times. Okay, so I'm going to set this up. This one's longer, so 0.008 times 9. Well, 9 times 8 is 72. 9 times 0, 0. Plus 7, 7. 9 times 0, 0. 9 times 0, 0. Now I know I have to move my decimal 4 times. So right there. 72 10,000ths. All right, and number 5, we have 2 32/100 times 5. Okay, so I have to move my decimal 2 times at the end. So 2 32/100 times 5. So 5 times 2, 10. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 is 16. And 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11. So I got to move it twice, so 11 6/10. So you can leave the 0 on there, or you don't have to. It's totally up to you. You can write it like this, or you can write it like that. Does not matter. They mean the same thing. All right, number 6. 6 8/10 times 7. Well, I'm only moving it once now. So 6.8 times 7. 8 times 7 is 56. 7 times 6 is 42, plus 5 is 47. So I got to move it once. So 47 6/10. Okay, number 7. 5 2/10 times 4. All right, so I only move it once at the end, so I know that 5 2/10 times 4. Now I multiply it out. 2 times 4, 8. 4 times 5, 20. I have to move it once, so my answer is 20 8/10. Okay, and the last one, number 8, we get 1 412 thousandths times 3. Okay, so I know I have to move it 3 times at the end because there's 3 numbers after my decimal point. There's none over here. So 1 412 thousandths times 3. Well, 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 4 is 12. And 3 times 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4. So I have to move it 3 times. So I get 4 236 thousandths. 4.236. So that is how you do a lessons number 3. This is multiplying decimals by whole numbers. So once again, when you multiply decimals, you do not line up the decimal points. Not like addition and subtraction. That's the only time that works. All right? So in lesson 3, we did multiplying decimals by whole numbers. Now we're going to be multiplying decimals with decimals. Okay, so nothing changes. The rule is you still are not lining up the decimal points. But you have to remember that you have to move the decimal at the end. So you need to count up how many numbers are after the decimal point so you can move it at the end. So what I mean by that, they are going to give you 5 2/10 times 6 13/100. Okay? So before I even start multiplying, I'm going to count up how many times I'm going to have to move my decimal at the end. Well, looking at this one, I have 1. This one, I have 2. So at the end, that means I have to move it 3 times altogether. All right? So now, when I go to set this up, I'm going to put the longer one there. This one has 3. This only has 2. So 6 13/100 times 5 2/10. Notice, I did not line the decimal points up. We aren't lining the decimal points up on multiplication still. So even if it's 2 decimals, you still don't line it up. You have to remember that. That is the golden rule. All right, so now we just multiply it out. So 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 6 is 12. Okay, so we finished the 2. Now I have to drop down a level. I always add a 0 there because I know I'm skipping that part. You don't have to. You can leave it blank and just move over here. But this just reminds me that I'm not putting any numbers there. Now I jump over to the 5. So 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 1, 5. Plus 1 is 6. 5 times 6 is 30. So we add this up. We get 6, 7, 8, 1, 3. Now, in the beginning, I said I had to move my decimal 3 times. So I go down to my answer. 1, 2, 3. You do not move the decimal point until you have your answer. It's got to be your answer before you do anything. So then you get 31 876 thousandths. And that would be your answer. So let's do another one like that. So we have 2 3/10 times 2 thousandths. Sorry, 2 hundredths. Okay, so on this one, before I even start, I'm counting them up. So I have 1 here, 2 there. So once again, I have 3. So I have to move it 3 times at the end. So now I'm going to go ahead and set these up. Since they both have 2 digits, it does not matter which one goes on top. You could have done either or. Now I just multiply. So 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, 0. So I drop down a level. I put a 0 there. I go over to the 0. So 0 times 3, 0. 0 times 2, 0. Add this up. So 6, 4, 0. This one means I got to move it 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. 46 thousandths. Okay, so that is how those work. You do not line the decimal up and you just multiply it out. But I always like to check before I multiply. That way I remember that I got to move it 3 times for that one. I got to move it 3 times for that one. All of them are going to be different, so it just depends on the situation. So, using that now, I want you to go ahead and pause the video and work on 1 through 12. So you need to write them out. You're not estimating or anything. You're just multiplying these numbers out and solving them. So pause the video and then do 1 through 12. All right, now that you're back, let's go through these. So number 1, number 1 was 7 2/10 times 2 1/10. Okay, so if I look before, I have 1 here, 1 there. So that means I got to move my decimal 2 times at the end. Okay, so 7 2/10 times 2 1/10. Both are the same. They both have 2 digits, so I can line them up either way. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 7, 7. Okay, drop down a level, add a 0. 2 times 2, 4. 2 times 7, 14. So that would be 2, 11, 5, and 1. Now I remember I have to move my decimal 2 times. So 1, 2. So 15 12 hundredths. Guys, you can do these on the back of your page or on another piece of paper. Totally up to you. Okay, number 2. Okay, 4 3/10 times 8 5/10. So once again, 1, 1. So I'm moving it twice. So I'm multiplying these out now. 5 times 3, 15. 5 times 4, 20, plus 1, 21. Jump down. So 8 times 3 would be 24. And then 8 times 4 would be 32, plus 2 is 34. Now I add these up. 5, 5, 6, 3. Okay, so now I have my answer. Now I have to remember I got to move my decimal 2 times. 1, 2. So it'd be 36 55/100ths. So number 3, we have 2 64/100ths times, sorry, I wrote that out wrong. So 2 64/100ths times 1 4/10. Okay, so we have 2 here, 1 there. So that's a total of 3. So I know at the end of it, I got to move my decimal point 3 times in my answer. So 4 times 4, 16. So the reason I put 2.64 up there is because it has 3 digits. So 3, that one goes on top, this one only has 2. So that was 16, 24, 25. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10. Jump down, add a 0. 1 times 4, 4. 1 times 6, 6. 1 times 2, 2. Add them up, 6, 9, 6, 3. Okay, so now I know I got to move it over 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. So that'd be 3 696 thousandths. All right, so then number 4. Okay, we have 14 23/100ths times 8 21/100ths. Well, there's 2 there and 2 there. So that's a total of 4 moves. So I have to move it 4 times at the end. So 14 23/100ths has 4 digits. This one only has 3, so that one's going on top. So 1 times 3, 3. 1 times 2, 2. 1 times 4, 4. 1 times 1, 1. Okay, I drop down a level. 2 times 3, 6. 2 times 2, 4. 2 times 4, 8. 2 times 1 is 2. Now, since there's a 3rd digit, you have to drop down again. Now you're putting 2 zeros because you have to go over 2 spots. So now, 8 times 3, 24. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 2 is 18. 8 times 4 is 32, plus 1 is 33. And then 8 times 1 is 8, plus 3 is 11. So now I can add these all the way up. So 3, 8, 12, 18, 6, and 1. Now, if I go back up here, I got to move it 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So my answer would be 116 8,283 10,000ths. All right, number 5. So we have 5 100ths times 11 6/10. So this one has 2. That one only has 1. So it's 3 total. So they both have 3, so it doesn't really matter which one you guys put on top. So 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 0 is 0. 6 times 5, 30. Drop down a level. 1 times 1, 1. 1 times 0, 0. 1 times 5, 5. Drop down another level. 1 times 1, 1. 1 times 0, 0. 1 times 5, 5. So you get 6, 1, 1, 8, 5. Now, I go back up there. I know I have to move it 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. 58.116. 58 116 thousandths. Okay, number 6. We have 9 1,000ths times 4 2/10. So this one will be 3. That one's a 1, so 4 total. So that one has more digits, so that one's going on top. So 1 times 2, 2. 0, 0, 18. Drop down a level. 4, 0, 0, 36. So 2, 4, 0, 8, 7, 3. Now I know I got to move it 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 37 8,420. 8,042 10,000. Sorry, guys. Couldn't get it out. All right, so the next one, we have 3 and 24,000 or hundredths times 8 thousandths. So we have 2 here, 3 there, so that's a total of 5. Okay, so it doesn't matter, they're both 3 digits, so I'm going to put that one on top, doesn't matter. So 8 times 4 would be 32. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 3 is 19. And then 8 times 3 is 24, plus 1 is 25. Okay, drop down a level. 0, 0, 0. Drop down to another level. 0, 0, 0. Add them up. 2, 9, 5, 2, 0. So I go back up here, I have to move it 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that would be 2,592 hundred thousandths. 0.02592. And number 8, we have 12 thousandths times 2 9/10. Well, that would be 3. That's 1. So we're moving a total of 4. So this one has more digits, so it's going on top. Well, 9 times 8, 18. 9 times 1, 9 plus 1 is 10. 9 times 0, 0 plus 1 is 1. Drop down a level. 2 times 2, 4. 2 times 1, 2. 2 times 0, 0. Add these up. 8, 4, 3, 0. So I know I got to move it 4 times, so my decimal point goes right there, 348 ten thousandths. 0.0348. And number 9, 9 tenths times 11 and 2 tenths. Okay, so this one has 1, that one has 1, so a total of 2. So since this has 3 digits, I'm putting that one on top. It's just a lot easier to work with if you have a longer one on top. So then 9 times 2 is 18. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 1 is 10. 9 times 1, 9 plus 1 is 10. So I have to move it twice. So my answer is 10 and 8 hundredths. And number 10. 3 hundredths times 4 1/2. So I have 2 and I have 1. So 3 total. So it doesn't matter which one you put on top because they're both the same amount. Okay, so 3 times 5 would be 15. 5 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 5, or 1, sorry. 4 times 3 is 12. And 4 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. Man, I keep messing that up. So we get 5, 3, 1. And I know I got to move it 3 times, so 135 thousandths. And 11, 27 and 8 tenths times 23 thousandths. So that would be 1, that's 3, so 4 total. We're going to have to move 4 total. So they're both the same amount, so I'm just going to put the 27 on top. Okay, 3 times 8, 24. 21, 23, 6, 8. Okay, drop down. 2 times 8 is 16. 14, 15. 4, 5. Another level, 0, 0, 0. So we add these up. And I know I got to move it 4 times. So your answer would be 6,394 ten thousandths. And like I said before, you don't have to put that 0. You can if you want. Totally up to you. And the last one, 1 and 54 hundredths times 7 and 1 hundredths. Okay, so we have 2, and we have 2, so 4 total. Okay, so we multiply this out. So that'd be 4, 5, 1. Pretty easy. 0, 0, 0. Another level. 7 times 4 would be 28. 35, 37, and that would be 10. So we add it up. 4, 5, 9, 7, 0, 1. So I go back. I know I have to move it 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I get 10 and 7,954 ten thousandths. Okay. So that is how you multiply decimals with decimals, all right? So you don't have to worry about lining up the decimal point. You just have to remember at the end when you get your answer, you have to move your decimal as many times as there are in the problem. So now that you're done with this, I want you to go ahead and work on Alex or work on other homework. You need to stay quiet and you need to stay busy. Okay, so Alex is always good because you should be at a total of 30 topics now. If you're not, you need to be there by Tuesday because then another 10 are coming out on Wednesday. So if you've already finished 1 through 8 on lesson 3 and 1 through 12 on lesson 4, go ahead and work on Alex. If you're already done with your topics, I suggest doing 10 more and then doing some other homework.